Something you should consider is by doing and making mistakes along the way, which can be also labeled testing things out to see how your customers will react to it. Music artists do this all the time, especially since we get to have instant gratification via Instagram. You may see them in the studio, on a live stream, playing it in the background. That is definitely a test out to see what the fans are feeling, aka testing the room, testing the temperature, however you want to put it. That is market research, but they don't call it that. That is a way for them to see which way to go with the song or not. That's just an example. And sometimes you have to fail again and again before you can understand how to create success. I've definitely done it. If you haven't watched my second or third video, I definitely shared my experience of failing my first business 15 years ago. You have to be willing to try things out and break new grounds for your business. Whatever your results are, make sure you keep track by journaling and analyzing them and using them to set your fashion business up for achieving better results. If you are looking to design your growth for better fashion business decisions, make sure to comment down below your thoughts, subscribe to the channel, and like the video. The other thing you should consider is to always seek out new information or what's new, what's next, what's developing. We live in an era where we have an enormous volume of information available in the palm of our hands and reach to everyone in every part of the globe. So there should be no reason that we should just be so ignorant, because we could just have conversations with anyone. We can have conversation with people in Tokyo. We can have conversation in Africa, Germany, wherever you want to talk to somebody or find some information. You can easily do that with the power of technology, social media, email. Technology has definitely shaped the way we communicate. So there should be no excuses. It's incredible what you can learn when you search, and you should always be looking and evolving. Not all the information you find will be useful for your business, but you could jot it down and use it later. I definitely do that personally. Not even personally, but personally and business wise. I use Google Keeps, and the top of the subject line, I'll write like random notes, whatever you want to put, but random notes, random ideas. And when I want to go back to it, all I got to do is just type in random in all of my notes that starts with random, like random ideas, random concepts. Those will all pop up, and I can go back and run through the different ideas, concepts, or something I saw or something I kept seeing repeatedly. I can see that and kind of run it back again with my team. So that's definitely an idea that you guys can do, or you guys can start doing, but I definitely would suggest you start doing that, because if you try to keep up with so much information, you're gonna forget. Not all will even be correct, but keep an open mind, search for new sources of knowledge, connect with people and people who are in business, and I'm not talking about business within the fashion industry. You just never know who you will meet or who will be very helpful or just resourceful for your business. So seek business peers, as I would say, of all backgrounds, who are knowledgeable in your areas, and the ones that are savvy in the areas that you are not in. And you'll find so many different perspectives that can enhance your fashion brands. It's all about putting yourself in the best possible position to step forward. Here are some common market research mistakes that are brought to my attention from previous emerging fashion brands, designers I have personally worked with or had a conversation with. Number one, Actually, these are not in a particular order. I'm just gonna let you know that I just jot down the top 5, but these are not in particular order, but they will definitely go hand in hand with each other. So number 1, I would have to say being too vague. And when I mean vague, I mean not clear or precise, or being too narrow. So when you are doing one or the other, which is very common for someone who is very new to market research, doesn't know how to do market research, or just is trying to rush the job of market research just to get the answer, it's definitely common to be too vague, not clear, because number 1, you don't even know what your objective is. You don't know what your clear answers are. Your questions are not leading to your objective, or just being too specific. When you're too specific, it's slimming your possibilities. You need to be opening a win, and your line of question need to be being too specific that it does not relate to too many people. You need to have a question that is a pool for people, but not, a section of the pool. So this question definitely, it goes hand in hand with, which was number 5 for me, was neglecting your objective. But being too vague or too narrow, you definitely need to know what your brand stands for. If you haven't checked out the previous video, I definitely break that down. You kind of just go any and everywhere. You just picking questions, or you just copy and paste questions, and that's not going to be very beneficial, because now you're putting more work to what you need to do for your business, and your business will stay stagnant. So this is definitely a common mistake for a lot of fashion brands and designers. So let's go on to number 2. Number 2, cutting the costs. Yes, I know for some of us, doing market research and putting money into it, it's like very foreign to us, because we're very limited. When it comes to fashion, there's a lot of things you need to put into not only the business, the operation of the business, but you also need to put in a lot of the raw materials in production, pre-production, post-production, identity. There's just so many components you need to put in. But when you go, say you want to hire a market research agency or a consultant, and they're going to inform you, you guys are just starting out, because this is definitely very common for startup companies. You don't have a customer base to pick brains from. So we need to get answers to know which way for you to pivot. So in order for you to do that, you will need to create surveys or interviews, or, whatever type of method you want to go. You have to provide them with an incentive, because you need to get answers, but, their time is being wasted, or you are trying to get information. So they need to, it's pretty much saying, what's in it for me? You got what you need, but what are they getting? So I'm going to show you in a little bit an example of an incentive, because even though that my career is not revolving around market research anymore, if you guys are new, I used to do market research as a career when I was in the health field over a decade ago, but I still do market research for my own business, but it does not revolve around it. And I teach my team how to conduct market research, and I just apply it to my business, and I'm also just sharing it for you guys. And this is what this platform is, molding into, just providing you guys with tools on how to conduct your own market research. So even though my career is not market research anymore, I still do these practices, and it's always going to be evolving, especially with the technology and the tools that we actually have for technology. I apply it, and I also still get these emails from these unique groups. That's all I'm going to say, unique groups. And also I'm going to show you an example of some well-known entities that you guys are aware of, but so you guys can get a clear understanding of what incentives are, or what surveys, how you could pick the brain, and how to not avoid. So the next one, number 3, I'm going to say survey overkill. This leads to overwhelming and not making it simple for your customer to understand, or it's just so damn long that it's just turning them off and they don't want to complete. They're probably like, what is this? Like, I don't want to do this so much. Or you're so specific on something, again, that goes to number 1, that they just get kind of confused and they're just like, I don't want to finish this. And you, depending on what software you're using, you can kind of see like they started filling it out, but then they stopped. And maybe that's a pattern you can see on your back end, depending on what software you use. You'll see that everyone is stopping at question number 4, which is the very, very complicated one, and no one is completing it. So that is definitely a common mistake that you don't want to be doing. So let's get into some examples. All right, so let's get into some examples. So this is a unique group that I used to partake in some years ago. And I'm not going to disclose, I'm not going to disclose their name because, again, if you're new to my channel, welcome. But in previous videos, I have stated and mentioned that this is why market research it's not like popular, because it's a lot of work. It's very time consuming. And you don't see many of them being advertised or just like fleeting around like, you know, the business coach or a salesman, because it takes a lot of time. I mean, if you're looking at this at the screen, you see right here where it says study duration 8 hours. So that means that they're going to be, you know, picking apart 2 people for a study of 8 hours. So I'm not sure if they are going to be, if that's a total between the 2 participants that they need. I'm not sure. I'm not working for them, and those stipulations are not for the public, but it's very time consuming. So when I told you guys are cutting quarters for one of the mistakes, this is the incentives that you would give your participants that you are picking their brain and giving the example. So this is an incentive. So say you are doing a collection, because Louis Vuitton does this. I know this because I used to work for them. Say you are doing a collection and you have 10 people. I'm not even going to say customers. I'm talking to the ones who have no customer base. If you have 10 people and you tell them, I will pay you $200 to be there for 3 hours and give your feedback on the collection. Not only are you getting their feedback, but you also need to capture their behavior, with their mannerism. It's everything, the reactions of their face. You need, this is also not including the staff of people that you need to pay to make these observations. Like these people need to be very detail oriented on when they're studying their behaviors, their reactions. They need to know how to line the questions up, because you could have a certain line of questions set up, but what they say is going to be very important, because you need to follow it up with always unpeeling the layer. So, all right. So this is one example of what it would look like if I was invited to do a survey for them to get information about a product that they are doing market research. So this right here, the $350 plus the $25 per screener task, this is an incentive. All right. So you can also do it by Zoom. As I said, technology is a wonderful thing. And this is the study date, May 22nd. All right. I'm going to look. Let's do another one. So the second one, they have is another incentive. The other incentive is $225. So off-site. So this is their study location off-site. So that means that this is at a specific location and it has to be in person. So this one, they're definitely reviewing their whole mannerism, their postures, any type of, twitching their feet, their legs. Like, they look at all of that. Now, the duration, it says right here, is from 9 a.m. to 3. It said, 9 a.m. for 3 hours. So if you were paying attention to the last one, like I said, the last one, it was only asking for 2 participants. So I didn't know if it was for 8 hours for each participant or if it was split into 4. It wasn't specific. But this one, it says for 3 hours, and it does not list how many participants they are seeking in this email. So, I mean, if we want to do the math on this, $225 times, 50 participants, that is $11,250. So that alone, just on this market research, just to get on the topic, shaping the future of technology, that is how much they're spending on this market research, as well as their time. So as I mentioned before, this is why you don't see market research just floating around. And it's also another reason why I don't just be popping out videos like this, because market research is very, very tedious and you need to be studying things day to day. My next example, I'm going to use Capital One because they just sent me this since I went to their Capital One cafe last week and I really enjoyed it. I need to pop up out to another Capital One cafe. So here is an example of a survey that is very, very simple. So they noticed that I went there and I used the ATM. And they're asking me, based on your recent visits to the Capital One ATM, how likely would you be to recommend Capital One? So pretty much they want to know how my experience was at the ATM at that store. You see up here, they listed, the record that they have the date, the time, not the time, but the address, and we'd love to hear about your experience. Look at that. I didn't even read this before I started recording this, but because I have experience doing this and the line of questioning, I already know. So this is an example of a simple and straight to the point question. They wanted to know how my experience was. My advice for you, if you're starting out, only do 5. Keep it very, very basic. So this is an example. And in my last example, I wanted to show you guys, since this is a very known brand now, Hanifa. The date right here, it says June 6, 2023. Hanifa was doing a research of her own. We're launching something new. At Hanifa, we are always looking to create something new. We have an exciting launch coming up this year, and we would love to hear from you. Please take a few moments to complete this survey and gain exclusive access to our new product before we officially launch. So I do not have the survey because, again, this was over a year ago, well, almost a year ago. As I stated, this was sent out June 6, 2023, but I did complete the survey, and I do remember they were asking about candles and scents and how much you would pay. I remember that question being like towards the end, and she had 4 different options of how much you would pay. And I thought that was very interesting. Okay, she's going to be tapping into the home space. So this is going to be another segment into her brand, Hanifa. And I just wanted to show you guys this because, number one, she just launched her home, the candle product in, I want to say March, the end of March, April. I don't know. My time is kind of off, but she just released it this year, 2024. And this survey was done in 2023. So that means she has been working on this product for over 2 years. It has to be over 2 years, because not only do you have to do this market research, but you also have to formulate what type of ingredients you want in there, as well as, you know, the packaging and how you're going to ship it and whatever else you need to do to get very comfortable in a new sector of fashion. And also another thing I want to point out, she had already a built-in audience, and you see that she sent an email to her built-in audience because I purchased some stuff from Hanifa. So I still kept this email, and good thing I did keep it. And I wanted to show you guys that this example so that you can see that it's not immediate. The market research is not immediate. You guys got to take your time and be very strategic about it. All right. So I hope you guys definitely understood. If you liked that presentation, definitely drop a comment, and I hope it resonates. So let's go on to my number 4 thoughts on number 4 for the most common market research mistake, I think, is misinterpreting BIA. And when I say BIA stands for behaviors, influences, and attitudes. So I'm going to break that down. So we're going to start out with the outer layer, which is behaviors. And when I mean behaviors, I mean customer behaviors, just in case you guys want to look it up yourself. But here is what I mean by customers' behaviors. And when I say customers and consumers are pretty much the same thing. So if you hear me interchange with those words, it's the same thing. So customers' behavior is the study of how people make decisions about what they buy, why they buy it, when they buy it, and how they use it. It's the action of their buying power in a nutshell that drives their buying choices. So I want you to remember that I said this is the outer circle. So that is what behaviors is specifically. Now we're going to peel it back some more. Now this is another circle, but it's a circle inside of behavior that is very similar, which is the influences, the consumer influences. That is similar to behaviors, but now we are getting more matter of fact on the customer's values, spending patterns, family, roles, age, status, country, city, all of those important factors about the customers. These would be considered segments within the customer's profile. So those are influences depending on, you know, these segments about the person. So say this is a 40-year-old that you're talking to, and maybe they're interested in your product, maybe because it really resonates with, you know, what's going on with a 40-year-old, and maybe another 40-year-old will like that. So you start to catch on, you know, man, I'm getting a lot of buying from people who are in their 40s. Let me do a little bit more digging. Maybe they are a 40-year-old who live in the suburbs and they are married. These are some influences, and maybe these are the things that are influencing their buying habit. So in the last one, attitude, the consumer attitude, to be more specific. So this is more of the intentions, the feelings, and the thoughts that influence their buying power. This one is very, very big because sometimes, especially women, especially us women, it may be that time of the month and they just have a different feeling about it. I know for me personally, I don't want to make any type of decisions. Don't show me anything new. Don't try to give me anything new as far as food, because that will, I already know what's influencing my thoughts, my intentions, my feelings about things. Or maybe someone lost their job And that's just swaying their buying power. These are the attitudes that will sway someone's buying power. So I find that a lot of people, well, a lot of fashion designers or brands who are just hopping in or just, kind of went to school for fashion, they are misinterpreting BIA, which is the behavior influence attitudes. And these things are all different in their own kind of way. And I hope I definitely explained these 3 things to you very well. And number 5, neglecting your objectives. Man, if you just got here, say it again. You definitely need to go back to my other videos, but knowing your objective, knowing your why. Knowing your why. Why are you doing it? What are you looking for? What's the end goal? What type of answer are you looking for? Do you know who you're going to be asking? So yeah, knowing your objective, knowing your purpose, knowing your why, what's the end goal? What are you hoping to get out of this question? That is, and a lot of people just don't really acknowledge their objectives. As I showed the Capital One survey, they wanted to know the experience at that location that I was at. It's plain and simple. That was their objective. The Hanifa one. They wanted to get, we didn't have the survey, but with my memory, I definitely remember, definitely how much would you guys willing to pay, the fragrance. There was sectors of the product that they wanted to hear from their audience, and look what happened now. I'm not even sure what the price point is. I haven't even looked at the candle or, heard anything about it, but I'm quite sure she, based off of those answers that she got, and she reviewed it and made her own decision based on her core audience, as well as, the budgeting for making the products and everything else. She made her final decision because she did not ignore the objective that she was trying to get. She knew her end goal. And I think a lot of fashion designers and brands are just so much in a rush to just drop and shortchange themselves that they end up just not doing what they just end up not doing what they're doing, or things just don't succeed. I want to do a bonus one. I was going to just do 5, but I want to do a bonus one. Stop the comparison trap. That is my bonus one. We all know we need some way to stand out, to set ourselves apart from others in the industry, but it's also very easy to look at what those others are doing and feel like there's no other way to be. Now, there's nothing wrong with checking out the competition, because that's pretty much what market research is, being nosy. As I like to say, I was getting paid to be nosy when I was doing market research, and there's nothing wrong to see what they're doing so that what they are doing, what they're not doing, so that you can improve your own business. But you do want to avoid falling into the comparison trap. There will always be more established businesses that look like they've achieved everything you want for yourself. It's natural to want to mimic what they do. If it works so well for them and you think it'll work for you, no. You're wrong. I'm sorry, but you're wrong. When you think about it rationally, you know that's not how it all works. No one wants a copy, especially a customer. Certainly not your core. And it's not only going to feel uncomfortable and exhausting as you pick up your own momentum, but you haven't gotten your true core value in the bonds of your customer. And that can possibly lead to turning them off later down the line. This will lead to second guessing decisions and the comparisons at the ends. At the root of it all, the problem is a lack of clarity regarding your own fashion brand. If you're making this mistake, it's because you haven't figured out what your business stands for. And I would strongly suggest you go back a couple of videos and check out the video about brand versus branding. Once you're done with the work, like creating a brand plan or a business plan to figure out your strategy, it becomes more simpler. Well, I don't want to say simpler, but it becomes more unison. You're no longer distracted or fazed by others. You're not caught up wondering if a phase is a fit or not. You can't be sure if every decision you will make will lead to success. You can't rely only on others' people's tried and tested tactics. You have to allow for creativity and new ideas. Some will sink, but others lead to exciting new possibilities for your business, even through the duds. You'll be staying true to your brand, and when you reach your target audience, they'll follow you for what you actually stand for. If your brand is fragmented and you allow it to become vague or inconsistent, that's where you quickly dilute its power. It becomes unclear who you're trying to target, which means you're less likely to reach your ideal clients. And it'll take longer to establish your trust because people have more difficult time understanding what and who you stand for. In the end, consistency is what drives familiarity with a brand. Maybe there's something here in this video that will save you a bit of grief down the line. Who knows? Thanks for tuning in. Emerge Type, a self-service research platform dedicated to fashion brands. I'm Mikara Reid. Be sure to subscribe, comment down below, and like the video. Oh, and share too. Share too. I'll see you later. Bye.